Hi everyone, Meta Anime here. Hope you are doing well. Today I am going to tell the story of a film called Wolf Children. It was released in 2012 and is another film that was written and directed by Satoko Okudera and Mamoru Hosoda. They were famous for their previous work, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Summer Wars. The story of this film is told by Yuki, a werewolf child. She told the life story of her mother, Hana, who married a wolfman and raised their 2 children alone after he died. They moved to the countryside and the children have adventures in the woods and at school. Before we go, this video contains spoilers. So please take this warning for those that haven't watched this movie yet. Without further ado, here's the recap of Wolf Children. The film opens with Hana, a university student in Tokyo, studying with the help of a scholarship. One day, Hana saw a man in her class that is so different from the other students. He always sat alone, bringing only a notebook and never submit his attendance card after class. She approached him trying to get him an attendance card. But he refused and said that he is not a student there, then left. On his way out, she saw him help a kid that fell while playing and made her happy. Time goes by and they got closer each day as Hana kept helping him in the class by lending her textbook and letting him enter the library. One night at a park, he showed Hana that he is a werewolf. He is the descendant of the Japanese wolf that went extinct 100 years ago. And he is the last being that inherited a blood mix of humans and wolves. Hana accepts him no matter his circumstance because she is already in love with him. They then live together in a house just like a couple. While her husband works as a driver, Hana continues her study at the university. These are the happiest moments for them. One day, Hana got pregnant with their first child. While pregnant, her husband went hunting a lot to get Hana nutritious and delicious food. Because she is afraid that her child's identity as a werewolf would be exposed, she did not go to the hospital for her child's birth. Their first child was born in a form of a normal human girl and was named Yuki. Years went by and she got pregnant with her second child. Their second child is a boy named Ame because he was born in the rain. Life seemed perfect for a while. But one afternoon, her husband never got home. Worried, she went outside to look for her husband in the middle of the rain. She found her dead husband's body in the form of a wolf in a river. He seemed to be trying to hunt food for his family but failed. Now she had to be a single parent and raise her children alone. What she had feared became truth as her children are also werewolves just like their father. They transform into werewolves depending on their emotions. She is having a hard time, especially because her first child is so hyperactive while her second child is timid and weak. The problem came when one day Yuki got sick. She is uncertain whether to take her to a human or animal hospital. She then just called the 2 of them and consult through a phone. Luckily Yuki got better in the end. Because Yuki and Ame cried and howl a lot at night, the neighbors complained a lot to them. The neighbors also called the Children's Consultation Center as they are worried that she is abusing her children. Since Yuki and Ame never got any immunization or medical checkup, Hana got more suspected by the Children's Consultation Center. Hana then decided to move to rural areas and bought a house that is far away from any neighbors. This would allow Yuki and Ame freely play around their house. Hana then renovated her new house alone while her children play around the house. Her children are really happy with their new house because they are free to play around and explore their wolf side. Hana always taught her children not to show their wolf side to the villagers and always be nice to everyone. As their savings from her husband had already run out, Hana decided to learn agriculture by reading books about growing plants. But her endeavors to plant them always failed. With the help of a grumpy but nice old man named Nirasaki, Hana eventually learns to grow the plants properly. Due to her hard work, the plants she grew turned out to be good when harvested. To express her gratitude, Hana shared her crops with the villagers. But the villagers also gave Hana their crops in return, which made Hana overwhelmed because her fridge can't fit all of them. The kind villagers then gave Hana a bigger fridge to fill them. Apparently, Nirasaki is the one who asked the villagers to help Hana, which made Hana very grateful to him. This made Hana closer to the villagers. But this also made Hana more worried that people would find out about her children. During the winter, the three of them were playing around with the snow. On the way home, Ame got separated. He saw a bird eating a fish at a river. Unknowingly, Ame tried to hunt the bird but fell into the river. Yuki, who saw that, called her mother and jumped into the river to save Ame. Luckily, she managed to save him. After this incident, Ame, who was previously rejecting his wolf side, has now embraced that side of him, as he is now sure that he is destined to be a wolf. Time goes by and Yuki is now old enough to go to school. Even though Hana was hesitant at first but allowed her to go to school in the end. Hana made Yuki promise to hide her wolf side from other people no matter what. At school, Yuki was different from the other girls. She is more wild and like things that are different from the other girls, like snakes and bones, while other girls would like flowers and jewelry. Yuki then decided to be more graceful and girly so that she could get close to the other girls. Since Yuki went to school, Hana tries to get a job as an assistant for nature observers despite the low salary. Hana took Ame with her to work a lot. This gives Ame more enthusiasm for nature. He also feels more comfortable there because there is a wolf there. Time flies and Ame also go to school now. At school, he can't adapt well and got targeted by school bullies because of his quiet attitude. Because of that, Ame spent more of his time in the mountains. One day, Yuki got a new transfer student named Sohei. Suhei said that Yuki has a smell of furry animals around her. This made Yuki uncomfortable and worried that her identity will be exposed. She had no confidence to be close to her friends anymore. As Yuki always avoids Suhei, he got more curious and keeps bothering Yuki for answers. This made Yuki upset and accidentally attacked Suhei, making his ear bleed. At school, Hana asked Yuki to apologize but was ignored. Suhei's parents then got mad at Hana. But Suhei said that it was not Yuki that attacked him but a wolf that he saw before passing out. This made Hana even more worried. Due to the incident, Yuki refused to go to school for days and locked herself at home. This made Suhei feel guilty. He visited Yuki's house every day and gave her food or letter so that she would go back to school. Yuki then decided to go back to school and the two of them became friends. Hana's attention then turns to Ame that no longer wants to go to school. He prefers to spend his time in the mountain. At first, Hana let Ame go to the mountain alone to learn from someone he called his teacher. But Hana got curious and asked Ame to take her to meet his teacher. Unexpectedly, his teacher is a fox. Ame learned so many things about the mountain, especially how to survive in the wild from his teacher. Ame felt that this is his world. As time goes by, Yuki and Ame grew to be teenagers. The difference between the two of them got bigger. One night, Ame asked Yuki to go to the mountain together because that's where they belonged. But Yuki refused because she wants to live like a normal human. She even asked Ame to go back to school but refused. Because of their opinion difference, they got engaged in a fight and injured each other. Hana tried to stop them but in vain. Ame revealed his red eye, indicating he is becoming a wild wolf day by day. One day, Ame found his teacher injured by a falling tree and might die soon. He told his mother that he must replace his teacher as the leader there at the mountain. Hana did not allow him to go back to the mountain anymore because she still considered him a child. Despite Hana's refusal to let him go, Ame still seemed determined to go. In the afternoon, a huge storm hit the village. Hana was about to go to school to pick Yuki up but he saw Ame go out of the house. She then pursued Ame despite the storm but lost him in the end. She went up the mountains to find him but ended up slipping and falling unconscious because of injuries. Meanwhile, at school, Yuki and Suhei are the only ones left. At that moment, Suhei told Yuki about how his parent did not care about him and that he wanted to live alone. Seeing Suhei telling her about him, Yuki decided to tell him about her secret as well. But Suhei was not shocked as he already knew about it from the beginning. He promised her to keep it a secret. Yuki felt relieved and smiled happily. The scene shifts to Hana having a dream where she met her husband in a flower garden. He praised her for raising their children well. He also told her to let Ame go as the two of their children have found their path. Ame was seen carrying his injured mother down the mountains to somewhere safe. Right before he left, Hana woke up and told him not to go as she hasn't done much for him. Ame, who has completely turned into his wolf form, looked back looking worried, but still decided to go to the mountains in the end. At the peak, Ame howled as loud as he can. Upon hearing his howl, Hana realized that Ame has found his path and smiled. She finally let go of her child. The next year, Yuki left the house to study in a high school dorm. We can see the picture of her mother sending her off with a smile. Several years later, Hana still lives happily in her house while hearing Ame's howls from her house. She continues to look at the picture of her dead husband while smiling. So that concludes the recap of Wolf Children. What do you guys think? This film beautifully tells us a great story about motherhood. It shows the tough side of a mother who selflessly accepts her life for the sake of her children. She never gives up on her children no matter how hard the situation is, especially with her unique situation and the fact that she had to raise them alone. This film made us realize to appreciate and respect our parents more, especially those that were raised by a single parent. Other than the story, the film also gave us beautiful visuals which made it even more enjoyable. Please tell us what you think through the comment section. If you like this content, please leave us a like and share them with your friends. Thank you for watching, until we see you again.